Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. First off, thank you for tuning in. For all of those of you who don't know me, I am a Forex educator inside of a couple of up-and-coming, really growing and long-standing companies. So with that said, without further ado, of course, I have to do my whole spiel, which says everything we're getting ready to discuss is obviously recorded, but I'm not talking to anybody but myself today, so we don't have to worry about that. But nothing is to be considered financial, legal, or investing advice, right? I practice high risk, high reward trading. You can obviously follow similar steps with safer, lower risk, lower reward trading styles, pairs, the whole nine. With that said, you've got all that right there. So I'm gonna go ahead and go over to the chart here in just a second while I leave this up and say that 2 weeks ago today, we looked at like a bajillion pairs. It was like 15 pairs, right? Of those 15 pairs, one of them lost. The rest of them hit 50 pips plus. Obviously, we couldn't take them all, and we talked about that pretty heavily. This moment is the moment where systems like simplicity shines. This moment is the moment when you make up for all the weeks where you had those off weeks. We got a total of, I think it was 1,700 pips, more than that actually, because we're kind of not counting all of them. We're only counting to where you at least got your break even or at least one ATR, right? Some of them still have more room to go from the call we did 2 weeks ago. Of course, that's live, that's on YouTube, it is recorded. You can go back to it and say, wait a minute, this chick was live on YouTube. She said 2 weeks ago, look at these pairs, potentially consider taking a few, maybe in your demo, get comfortable with what you're doing, protect after 50 pips, take it at the break of a trend line or a fractal, and ta-da. Like this takes less than 20 minutes a few times a week, and that's it. So without further ado, I think it's the third time I've said that. I'm gonna go ahead and pause this, actually start sharing my screen. It's kind of funny because I'm so used to talking to people and kind of just narrating what I'm doing. So I'm gonna go ahead and spout out all the pairs that we looked at last week. Those are the ones that are highlighted in this nice little tool called the Swiss Army knife, and show you exactly this was it. These were all the pairs we looked at for potential setups. Only one of them hit a lower low before hitting at least 50 pips, which we did talk about on that call. So first we're gonna review those trades, and then I only marked off 5 for today. There are a few other that I would kind of consider maybe potential entries, but they're not anything that I'm like super highly attracted to, that have a super level of confluence or reason to be kind of tracking right now. So without zooming in on every single candle and showing you exactly, you can of course go back to that recording, do your own due diligence, count the pips yourself and see, hey, is this accurate? Is it possible? Is it real? By all means, please do that. I know I've got a lot of feedback for how fast I talk. I promise to try to slow down a little. I keep trying to be mindful of that. It's not easy because this is so me. I talk so fast in real life. For starters, so the pairs we looked at 2 weeks ago, which was on November 2nd, right? We were looking at the 2 o'clock candle for this, for your actual broker. Mind you, we've kind of been dealing with daylight savings time and some other changes worldwide. So treat that according to your own time zone. So look at what you see on your UTC and look at it from there. So that was a 2 o'clock candle on that call on 11/2. We looked at GBP CAD, Australian USD, NZD USD, USD CAD, USD JPY, AUD JPY, CAD JPY, CHF JPY, Euro CAD, Euro Chef, Euro NZD, GBP AUD, GBP NZD, NZD CAD, and NZD JPY. So like we talked about, obviously you couldn't take them all, but if you timed yourself right and you got your pips out of one of them and maybe the other one set up or you were protected, you can take a lot of these trades and you can get really far in 2 weeks time based off of not very many minutes. Most people don't make a lot of money because they're over trading, they're over analyzing, they're constantly just overwhelming themselves with knowledge charts and pips and strategies and ideals. It's insane. I promise you, the less you trade, the more you'll make overall. So let's go ahead and start with GBP CAD. That's up right now. We looked at that again, 11/2, and look down here on my screen. You'll see where I'm pointing, 11/2. Remember, we're looking at the break of a fractal, right? It's 11/2. By the time we get the break of that most recent 1 hour fractal is here. That's the most recent one. This is the candle. Do we at least get our 50 pips out of this? Yes. We talked about that pretty heavily of protecting after 50 pips. Otherwise, we're going for 1 ADR, right? But we got our 50 pips safe and sound. We also retraced totally fine because you got 80 in total. But as long as you protected or closed some of that bag after 50, you're totally fine. So that's GBP CAD. trillion US dollar. Same thing, we were looking for this sell. 11-2 candle, you can see that down here at the timeline that we're looking at. Kind of look where we're going. Ta-da. And around this area, waiting for the break. This moved a total of 218 pips. And that's an insane amount of pips overall. Whoopsie. Probably should delete that from on this side of my recording. So that's 218 in total. I only got 150 because I was going for 3 ATR at the time, which was closer to 150, but still not a bad trade. Beautiful, perfect, easy setup. Remember, this was an FP week too, so kind of a big deal. NZD USD was the next one, looking for that 11-2, 2 o'clock candle, looking for the break of that most recent fractal, right? Anywhere in here. Do you get your pips? Can you protect after 50? Yes, you can. Moved to a total of 176 pips. That's insane. I only got 110 on this one, but still very easy to trade system. We did not come up and make a higher high, better yet with some room. Perfectly great trade there. USD CAD. Actually, I should be unmarking these as I'm going across. I'll fix that in here in a second. Same thing, we're looking for a buy. 11-2. Do we get that buy? Let me move my magic mouse out of the way. 11-2. Come on, silly head. Right around here, waiting for the break of this fractal. Ta-da, 199 pips. Not bad at all. Really easy trade, no real drawdown. Take it with confirmation only, and then you've got, it's a great way to be. So let me unmark that. Go back here, unmark that. Just hitting W on my little watch list. So now USD JPY, same thing. We were looking for this to sell off. Oh, the JPY pairs were a complete nightmare there for a little while. And we got the sell off, short term granted. But in and around here, this was the candle. We're just waiting for the break of that fractal. You can hardly see it. We came up, made a higher, did not make a higher high. We did come up, so you were in drawdown. But overall, over 100 pips on this one. As long as you protect it after 50 pips, this is still a great trade. 100 pips is nothing to gawk at. I mean, remember, a standard lot on this, that's, you know, a lot of money for what, a couple of minutes of your time to find this entry. So that's USD JPY. Next on our list was odd JPY. This was one of my favorites. It just played out perfectly. So we're looking at the 11-2, 3 o'clock. We're looking for the break of these fractals, anywhere in there. 250 pips, beautiful way to be. Perfect, perfect trade. Take that off my watch list. CAD JPY, again, looking for that 11-2 candle. Let's see, come on. Anywhere around here, right? You guys can see that down there below. Waiting for the break of these fractals. 150 pips, you definitely got your bag out of that too. Hitting W to take it off my watch list. CHF, JPY, this pair was tricky. We talked about this pretty heavily because of some algorithms that had me in some pretty good drawdown on this pair. But 11-2 is right here. So we were still in this area, and I guess on this one we'll zoom in. But it's the only really questionable one. This is that candle. We talked about when we start breaking below, we don't have a reason yet. If we broke that trend line, so anywhere in between here and here, you've got plenty of room to have got your 50 pips. Right? You've got plenty of room you broke the trend line that we discussed in that call, great, or you took it early at the top of the break of that fractal. Either way, 50 to 100 pips, that's great. Euro CAD, I'm going to zoom back out so we can get a better picture. We were here. Euro CAD, where's it at? Coming over. Come on, silly hen. 11-2. Got it. And you guys can do this on your time too. I'm just doing it live to show you. This one moved a total of 100 pips. You got your at least 1 ADR, but we also talked about protecting after 50 pips. So you got that very, very easily. Perfectly beautiful, easy to follow setup. Euro Chef was actually the loss. This was the one we did lose. Or I did lose more accurately. So if I go to the 11-2, looking for that 2 o'clock candle, wherever we are. So anywhere around here, at the break of this fractal, this wasn't enough to protect. This mean, if you were trading manually and you were like super micromanaging your trades, yes. But to have some sense of accuracy and reliability, we said, hey, if it moves 50 pips, we're counting that as a win. That's big enough. You can set your trade manager settings to that. You can set your take profits to that. You can scale out at that. But this did not hit that mark. So did we make a lower low? Yes. Remember, my stop loss is at structure with some room. This would have hit it. This did hit it, actually, and then around here. We also made a low even after that. So I lost a total of 40 pips on this one from where I entered. So I got out somewhere around here, probably with the spread widening. But either way, that was the one loss. Still have some room, it's just not ready yet, go figure. You can decide to draw a trend line in around here, and when you get the break, buy it up. Great reversal trade. Remember, this was a long-term analysis. So Euro Chef was the loser of that group. Euro NZD, let's find the 11-2 candle. Dun, dun, dun. Let's see. 11-2. All the way in here, waiting for the break of this fractal right there. Do you at least get your 50 pips? Yep, you get 150, you technically get 180. Great trade, really, really easy. Never comes back to make a lower low. So another winning trade, and we went over this live together. GBP odd is next. The GBP pair is actually GBP CAD. I'm still heavily in right now, but so 11-2. We talked about the break of this particular trend line, as well as a couple of the other GBP pairs. We looked at it. If I could quit giving you guys dizzy syndrome, in and around here. We know we had to wait, so the break of that happened here. Even if you got in late, do you have enough room to get your pips? Let's see if I can keep it still this time. 180 pips, definitely not a bad way to be. 180 pips is a beautiful, really, really simple trade. So definitely worthwhile. Even if you got in late, you still had plenty of room to protect your 50 pips on that one. Take it off my watch list. GBP CAD. Okay. GBP CAD. What one am I on? GBP CAD. I'm looking down at my paper too. GBP CAD was at the top of my list. That's why. So GBP CAD. Looking for the 11-2. 11-2 right in and around here. We were looking for the buy, and we got at least our 50 pips. This one I only got 50 pips on. That's all I got. As you can see, we still made another level with the blows. We've got some double bottom potential head and shoulders forming now. I'm actually looking at this one now for the buy. Still aren't super confirmed yet, but made our pips on that one 2 weeks ago. GBP NZD, last but not almost last. Looking for 11-2, 11-04, 11-2, and then around here. Waiting for the break of that fractal. That's here, the fractal's here. Do you at least get your 50 pips? Yep, you get 160. Great, easy trade. Made another low, and we got more entries even to continue to buy it up. That's GBP NZD. NZD CAD. I don't think I'm ever doing this many pairs again. That's way too many pairs to go over. But NZD CAD, let's go find our right candle. So NZD CAD, we're looking for the sell on this one. And around here, this area, we're looking for the breakout. We got the breakout, 77 pips. So as long as we got your 50 pips out of this, I only got 50 pips on this one. That's what I've got written down too, is NZD CAD. Great, perfect setup. Again, check the call and go take a look at what these pairs did since we talked about it. Like if you study nothing else and you're just looking for really elementary, simple, don't need to know a lot of stuff, this is a great system for that. Last but not least, NZD JPY. We know the JPY pairs went absolutely nuts. We were all waiting for the massive amounts of sells. We finally got some confirmation after weeks and weeks. We said at the break of these fractals, we knew what we were doing. So anywhere around here, the fractals are there. You can hardly see them. This one moved a total of 186 pips. So all together with that huge amount of trades, that took me way too long to go over. We got over 1,700 pips. So guys, even at a 0.01, that's a lot of money. At a 0.1, right, that's a lot of money. And at a standard lot, which most of your guys' accounts, especially if you're trading a high leverage broker, can handle that on a couple of pairs. If you got half of that many pips, that's more than most people make in a few months. Like if you had a standard lot on half of those pairs, that's more than people make in 2 months. I mean, a lot of people, I should say, not everybody obviously, but a lot of people. So don't forget to really work on your management. Don't forget to really make sure you know the lot sizes you're using. Pick a couple of pairs and actually trade those to the fullest of their ability, because you'll get a lot farther. So, okay, those were the trades for 2 weeks ago. We've got 5 today. I could have looked at a few more, but I don't want to do that. So first and foremost, GU. I love this setup. We definitely have some room. We've got a couple of really great impulses down. We know Euro USD made another huge push down. So trade this with a grain of salt. Obviously, we've got our buy signal from Simplicity. Let me zoom in a little bit more. This is the candle we're on right now, which is 11:17. So I'll write that down. 11:17 at the 2 o'clock candle. Well, that's actually the 1 o'clock candle, huh? So 1 o'clock candle. We're waiting for confirmation. So from the 1 o'clock candle, if we break this fractal, do we have enough room to at least get our 50 pips before we protect it? Yes, we do. If I zoom out one more time, my overall target from where price is currently at, there's the break of that fractal. I'm looking for about 160-ish pips, probably 150. So about 1.5 ADR is what I'm looking for on this pair. Are we definitely going to come up that high? There are no guarantees. Obviously, protect after 50 pips and make good choices. So that's GU. I'm already in this, as well as a lot of our team is already in this, but I'm looking for the sell-off on gold. We've already missed a good chunk. I'm expecting a small retest before a continuation. Overall, we've got our 1 hour kind of Simplicity arrow now. We got in way up here, though. Actually, we missed some of it because it happened too early in our call, but you can take it at the break of this fractal. That's an option. You can also wait for a retest. So assuming it's the break of the fractal, I'm looking for a total of about 300 to 350 pips out of this. Definitely great high probability trade. Remember, 1800 acts really as a magnetic number on gold. Don't ask me why. I'm not that fundamentally inclined, but 1800 seems to be the number that just price pulls to. It pulls to it all the time. I don't know why that's the agreed upon price for this instrument, but if you really look historically, it definitely is the agreed upon price for at least for a decent period of time here. So looking for a sell on gold. That's that. AJ, I'm looking for a retracement from that beautiful sell. So I'm looking for it just to buy up. Is this worth hundreds of pips in my eyes? Nope, definitely not. But can we get our 50 pips pretty safely out of it? Yeah, we've got the room to get our 50 pips, and that's really all I'm looking for, is my safe 50 pips. If we break above, I'm looking for a retest before we continue, because a lot of those JPY pairs are pushing back up to make, again, more highs. So I want to be part of that if it does set up. If not, I want my small portion of the move, and then I'm going on with my life. So there's that. GBP CAD, if I can find it. There it is. Like I said, I'm still in this. I'm back in this. I keep re-entering into this. It's definitely got some room to push up. You can wait till the break of this fractal. We know what candle we're doing this analysis on. You've got a potential, lots of people that are going to call it many different things, but definite double bottom, potential head and shoulders, right? This does not make a lower low than here. Kind of crooked and a little deformed. But even if we're going off of a measured move, that's the bigger of the two shoulders, the smaller of the two shoulders. 111 pips is going to get you somewhere around here. Definitely really easy to trade symbol, really good probability trade for right now. So that's GBP CAD. Again, only at the break of that fractal. And then GBP odd. That's out of order. Same kind of thing. I'm just looking to buy this up a little bit. Let me minimize out one more time. Look at this nice, huge impulse move. We've got a nice correction happening. I'm looking to pull this up just enough. I know it's kind of really zoomed out because I want to stay on the same time frame. But to get my 150 pips out of this, really, really easy, high probability trade. So that's the last one I'm looking at for this week. With that said, the holidays are coming, so we'll probably slow down in terms of the pips we're going for in our early morning classes. And those are mostly the faster moving, kind of higher risk things. But even with Simplicity, if you decided to take any kind of reversal system, whether it be this one or any other, maybe consider checking your charts once a week, deciding your pairs you want to work with, decide your risk. Maybe have a manager would be preferable. If not, that's totally fine. But decide what your risk, your trailing stop, and your take profit is going to be, and then leave them alone. Like, don't look, don't babysit, don't care, don't look back, and just go on with your week. And do that for the next until, let's say, end of January. That gives you a solid maybe 70-ish days, 70, 75-ish days, give or take, of things that you can accomplish. So in that, you're probably only going to have, 6 weeks in total, approximately 6 to 8 weeks that you actually traded, if depending on whether you're doing every week or every other week. And what you can accomplish if you just back off of your charts enough and let this compound, risk no more than 2 to 3% per trade based off of where your stop loss is at. Make sure you're doing at least a 1-to-1 risk to reward ratio, bare minimum. 1 to 2 is better, or 2 to 1, sorry, is better. And see what you can accomplish. And I think that's a great challenge for the end of the year for people who are trading the Simplicity or any other reversal system. So with that said, I hope you guys all have an amazing, happy weekend, and take care, and God bless.